Welcome to the Matt Stewart Sports High School Football Podcast. Coming up in this episode, we're going to talk to Thomas County Central head coach Justin Rogers. His Yellow Jackets won the 2023 state championship in 6A, and then when the GHSA reclassified, they went to 5A, and they were quarterfinalists a year ago. So going to talk to him. He's had quite a run there in Thomasville in his 3-year stint with the Yellow Jackets. Also, we're going to drop our preseason 5A and 3A top 10 rankings and the preseason all-state teams for those two classifications as well. And we'll wrap up the podcast by taking a look at the top commitments for Georgia high school football players for college football. And that's all coming up in this episode of the Matt Stewart Sports High School Football Podcast. So like, follow, and subscribe. So excited that the high school football season is finally upon us. Kicking off 2025, I'll be calling 4 games in the 34th annual Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic. Thursday, August 14th, I'll be calling a doubleheader at West Forsyth High School. We'll start with private classification defending champion Hebron Christian taking on 6A, first-time region winner North Atlanta. Should be a great game. And then the nightcap is going to be Atlanta Historic High School Douglas, the Douglas Astros, taking on 6A West Forsyth. That'll be at 8 o'clock. So that doubleheader will air on Peachtree Sports Network. Then on Saturday, August 16th, I'll have the first 2 games of the day from Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It's always fun to call games at the Benz. Starting at 10 a.m. that day with St. Pius versus Dunwoody. And then at 1 o'clock, state quarterfinalists Houston County versus Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic icon Brookwood. Those games will air on Atlanta News First 46. Then on September 5th, I'll kick off my 12th season with GPB Sports Football Fridays in Georgia. Great game for our season opener on GPB 2024 3A State Champ Calhoun at Perennial Power and rival Cartersville, which is now in 4A. So should be a lot of fun as we ramp up the start of the 2025 season. Again, we're going to talk to Thomas County Central head coach Justin Rogers. In my opinion, they're the favorites to win 5A this year. Also going to drop my 3A and 5A preseason top 10 rankings and also the all-state teams for those 2 classifications and the top commitments of the week. But first, before we hear from Coach Rogers, let's go ahead and drop that preseason top 10 rankings, and we'll go in inverse order, shall we? We start at number 10 and the Coffee Trojans, 2023 state champions, and 2024 state semifinalists coming out of the state's toughest region, which, of course, is Region 2 5A. Number 9, Noonan. The Cougars are back, 9-3 last season, and got to the state's second round of the playoffs for the first time since 2015, and here in 2025, trying to get past the second round for the first time since 2009. Number 8, Houston County. The Hoco Bears, another one of those great teams out of Region 2. Quarterfinal finish last season for the second time in Coach Jeremy Edwards' 3 seasons. Number 7, Brunswick. Pirates 38-8 over the last 4 seasons, but can they get past the second round? They haven't done that since the 1999 state finals. Number 6, Sprayberry. Pete Fomanaya takes over as head coach, and they're expecting another big season. Number 5, Lee County. Another Region 2 team. Got to the semifinals last year. Lost some frontline talent off that team, including their fantastic quarterback, who's now at Georgia Southern. But got some talent remaining and got some talent coming in this season, plus one of the top coaches in the state in Dean Fabrizio. Number 4, defending state champions, Milton, and number 1 ranked public school in the country in 2024. Eagles replacing a ton of talent and return a good deal, but going to be tough to duplicate what they did last season, which was one of the best teams in state history. Number 3, Gainesville. Disappointing season for the Red Elephants in 2024, getting ousted in the first round of the playoffs, but Coach Josh Niblett's team is back and loaded. Serious state championship contender right there. Number 2, Langston Hughes got to the state finals last year, won it all in 2023 with the highest scoring offense in state history. Coach Daniel Boone Williams left for Northside Warner Robins, and in comes new coach Andrico Hines. Panthers should be fine. And number 1 in the rankings, Thomas County Central, won the state title in 2023 and got to the quarters last year. Bring back a ton of talent here in 2025, and we're going to be talking to Coach Justin Rogers coming up in just a moment. So once again, it's number 1, Thomas County Central, number 2, Langston Hughes, number 3, Gainesville, number 4, Milton, number 5, Lee County, number 6, Sprayberry, number 7, Brunswick, number 8, Houston County, number 9, Noonan, and number 10, Coffee. Let's take a look at the preseason 5A All-State team, starting at quarterback with Darnell Kelly. He's at Langston Hughes, a transfer from Peachtree Ridge, 3-star committed to Colorado State. And Jalen Johnson of Thomas County Central, a 3-year starter and a 3-star with 10-plus offers. At running back, Will Rajecki of Sequoia, 3-star committed to Memphis. Carson Baker, Langston Hughes, 4-star rated as high as the number 9 running back in 2026, committed to the Florida Gators. And Christian Lawrence, Thomas County Central, 3-star committed to Wake Forest. At wide receiver, Jaden Upshaw, Lee County, 4-star, rated as high as the number 16 wide receiver in 2027. Jamarian McKinney, Langston Hughes, transfer from Dutchtown, 68 catches for 1,163 yards last season and 11 touchdowns. Also at wide receiver, MJ Mathis, Houston County, committed to Sanford, 64 catches, over 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns in 2024. And Jabari Watkins of Thomas County Central, 2027 4-star. At tight end, we got Hezzy Kent from Brunswick. He's a very interesting story, as we've talked about on the podcast before. He's a 4-star rated as high as the number 11 offensive tackle in 2026 and committed to Florida. But for the Pirates, he plays tight end, and he's rated as high as the number 7 athlete in the country. He makes a lot of catches in that offense. It'll be interesting to see if they rotate him between tight end and offensive tackle this year, or they keep him as tight end, but he's projected as an offensive tackle at the collegiate level. Also at tight end, Xavier Tiller, Langston Hughes, 4-star rated as high as the number 4 tight end in 2026. He is committed to Florida State. Offensive line, Tyler Chikuyum, South Paulding, 4-star rated as high as the number 10 offensive tackle in 2026. He's committed to Florida. Kelsey Adams, Langston Hughes, 4-star rated as high as the number 5 offensive tackle in 2027. Braylon Mills, Houston County, 2027 3-star offensive tackle. Keziah Charlton of Brunswick, 3-star offensive tackle, committed to UCF. Alexander Brewer of Sequoia, 3-star interior offensive lineman, committed to Colorado State. And Artem Korchagin, Thomas County Central, 3-star interior offensive lineman, committed to the Cal Golden Bears, and a transfer from Russia. And about this time you're thinking, the heck is he talking about, a transfer from Russia? Well, stick around and listen to our conversation here with Justin Rogers, and you'll find out the story about Korchagin. It's a great one. Let's look at the 5A preseason All-State defense. Starting on the defensive line, Jamarian Matthews of Gainesville, 4-star rated as high as the number 8 edge in 2026. He's committed to Alabama. Anthony Lonan of Clark Central, 4-star rated as high as number 19 defensive lineman. He's committed to Georgia, so he's staying home. He plays there in Athens. His dad played for the Bulldogs, and he's sticking with Georgia. Martin Atkins of Lee County, 69 total tackles, 15 TFL, 6 quarterback sacks in 2024. And Cam Brooks of Thomas County Central, a 4-star edge, committed to the Cal Golden Bears, just like his teammate, Artem Korchagin. And also on that defensive line, another Gainesville Red Elephant, Aiden Kane. He's a 3-star. He's committed to Duke. Let's take a look at the linebackers. Xavier Griffin, Gainesville, 5-star, rated as high as the number 1 linebacker in 2026, committed to Alabama. And you can see now why I have Gainesville picked number 3 in my preseason top 10. Gregory Baston of Lee County, 4-star, rated as high as the number 9 linebacker in 2027. Weston Ard, Houston County, committed to UConn, 168 career total tackles, 28 TFL, 11 quarterback sacks. Keyshawn Braxton of Langston Hughes, 96 total tackles, 14 TFL, 11 quarterback sacks in 2026. And Cam Brown of Houston County, 88 total tackles, 16 TFL, 11 quarterback sacks in 2026. Let's look at the secondary, starting with the cornerbacks. Laziah Jackson, Lee County, 4-star, rated as high as the number 14 cornerback in 2026. He's committed to Stanford. Jordan Edmonds, Sprayberry, 5-star. He's rated as high as the number 1 cornerback in the entire country in 2026. He's also committed to Alabama. Avion Addison, Brunswick, 4 interceptions, 43 total tackles in 2026. At the safety positions, Jordan Smith, Houston County, 4-star, rated as high as the number 6 safety. He's committed to the Georgia Bulldogs. Blake Stewart, Woodward Academy, 4-star, committed to Clemson. And safety Tristan Lester from Milton, 3-star safety, committed to Marshall. On the special teams, the place kicker Balint Vorasmarty from Roswell. He's a Coles 5-star kicker, rated number 3 in the country. Number 1 in Georgia. He's committed to Georgia State. The punter is Camden Meads from Habersham Central. 40 yards per punt average for his career entering his senior season. And our return specialist is Jordan Walker from Arabia Mountain. He had 4 kick return touchdowns in 2024, 3 kickoffs, and 1 punt, averaging 33.5 yards per kickoff return.
Certainly, traditionally, Thomas County is one of the greatest programs in the history of the Georgia High School Association.
Time now to welcome in Thomas County head coach Justin Rogers. Justin, thanks a lot for being with us. You ready to get the 2025 season started?
You better believe it. Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us.
Well, you opened the season against Monroe, and spoiler alert, I've got the Yellow Jackets preseason number 1 in 5A. Really impressed what you bring back, 13 starters from a team that I saw in the quarterfinals last November on GPB Sports Football Fridays in Georgia. How do you feel about this group and the start of the season?
Yeah, we feel really good. This is a very mature team for sure. And so we're excited about that with the amount of experience this team has. Also, it's a very connected team. Like this group right here has played together for so long, from YMCA days to middle school. And so they're a really connected team, and obviously, very talented as well. And so we feel really good about the year. We just got to continue to get better week in, week out, like everybody talks about. And but we do feel like we're one of those teams that's got a shot to win it.
You've been on quite a run since you got to Thomasville, 2023 state championship, 15-0. I got it playing in the background here from when you beat Woodward Academy in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That was a great memory for you guys to cap an incredible, perfect season. You've had a pair of quarterfinal finishes wrapped up around that state championship, 38-3 overall in those 3 seasons. We know about the great history of the Thomas County Central program, but it had not really experienced that since the days of Ed Pilcher. It had not really experienced that since the days of Ed Pilcher and those 5 state championships in the 1990s. What did you see or do that others did not?
There was a lot of low-lying fruit when we got here. They had good players. One of the biggest things, we had an unbelievable administration that was aligned, from our superintendent, Lisa Williams, and our principal, Jamie Thompson. They really wanted to see football come back. Like they were here in the 90s. They experienced it. They wanted to see that tradition. And then one of the biggest things we did is we really embraced the tradition. I think that's one of the biggest things. When we got hired, the theme was return, not rebuild, because this was a program that didn't need to be built. It had been built. Ed Pilcher built this thing, and it was one of the best in the entire state and or nation.
Yeah.
And so all we had to do is kind of return that swagger back. And so I think when we did that, that really excited the community, that lived through those years, to hear that messaging of return and really embrace that tradition and history. And then we had some momentum early on. And so once you got some momentum early on, the fans really caught fire. And we wound up going into a tailwind and really had that pushing us forward.
It's funny because you mentioned the fans, and it's the first thing I think of when I think about Thomas County Central, a passionate fan base. When we talked last November, you described your fan base as a defiant teenager. And we saw them in MBS, and like I said, we got the video playing behind me here, and how they impacted that game in 2023, and the officials actually stopped the game. But your guys were causing such a ruckus, and, it looked like half the town of Thomasville was there at MBS that night. And then I was equally impressed, maybe even more so last year at Langston Hughes, because it was the day after Thanksgiving. It was cold. A team named Georgia and Georgia Tech were playing football on national TV that night, and your fans showed out, and they were there in great numbers. I was really impressed with that. For them, Thomas County Central is their number 1 team. A lot of places, the high school fans, they're fans of other teams professionally or college, and I'm sure your fans are too, but Thomas County Central, make no doubt about it, is the number 1 team in town.
Without question. I mean, our fans are the best. I feel like Texas A&M, the 12th man, and they talk about that. Mississippi State with the cowbells. We have all horns, so we're known for that. And you're right. The Jacket Central is the number one team in these guys' hearts, and the number two is whatever college and the Falcons and all that. And they show up. They show up and support. They cheer. And that's a big deal. There's a lot of fan bases that show up, but maybe they're more of a spectator show up. Our guys are active participants. I mean, they want to be an active participant in the game, and they do make an impact, and they do inspire. And so if you're a young man on the field and you're starting to falter or maybe get a little tired or maybe even get a little frustrated, and you hear these fans just really cheering you on and encouraging you, it's hard not to go out there and play with just unbelievable effort when you feel that community behind you. And it was good for this group to see that this week. When we went to Lowndes, man, they showed up for the scrimmage, and it was impactful. And we're blessed. We're truly humbled and blessed to be able to play and have a fan base like this.
Well, for that one fan, and hopefully he's watching this podcast at some point, in that game last November against Langston Hughes, I went to the men's room, and he was standing in the men's room because he had not dressed appropriately, and he was freezing to death. Hopefully he's thawed out by now, by the start of the 2025 season. But
yeah, it is summer heat to thaw you out down here.
No
so
doubt.
I'm sure he's thawed out.
No doubt about it. So it was great. That was great to see all your fans there last November, and, of course, the December before at MBS. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself. We know all about offensive coordinator, 2013, state champion Griffin Bears, and you guys set a bunch of records, and then prolific offenses, head coach at Jones County, then you're at Colquitt County, and now you're at TCC. But what's your coaching influence? Who's had the biggest impact on your style, on the football field, not only on game day, but in practice and just with the team?
Yeah, I'm from a small town in Alabama, from Greenville, Alabama is where I was
I thought you were going to say Greenbow.
I know, I get that a lot. And so Greenville, and then went to Troy University. And I've got an older sister that is about 5 years older than me, and she had came over to Georgia teaching, beforehand. And she was really the one that kind of pushed me to come straight to Georgia. Just the opportunities here, the pay, the resources, what they put into high school athletics here, and was like, hey, you really ought to just look at just starting your career in Georgia instead of in Alabama, because I had a couple places there. And so we decided to do that. So I came to Harris County, and I took a job at Harris County. It was my first year. And we had a head coach there, but Tommy Parks was the DC at the time. And just really, man, Tommy, he was so inspirational to us all, and just such a leader. And 2 years later, he became the head coach. And so I worked with Tommy from 2002 to 2009, and he was a huge influence. I mean, just the way he was a leader of men, both coaches and players, the charisma he had, the work ethic he had. Now, he's passed away since, but he has impacted a lot of people. And then the next one I would say is, having that opportunity to go be the OC at Griffin with Steve Dvorsky. Everybody knows him as Devo.
Mm-hmm.
Won a bunch of games, great special teams guy, really understands personnel and where to place people. And so he made a huge impact. And he's the one that kind of got me where at Harris we were a little more conservative, trying to go ball control offense. And Devo's the one kind of got me out of my shell to be more explosive and shots on goal. How many times are we getting vertical? A little more Al Davis, right? Because if anybody knows Devo, that's how he is. Yep. And so he really just changed my whole philosophy. And so from that point on, we've been big on trying to be explosive plays. And I think we were ahead of the curve a little bit early on with that stuff, and we're trying to continue to be. But I know I'm an offensive guy. That's what I've been. I don't pretend to be that other. And so I really try to hire really good defensive coaches and let them go, and just believe in it being very aggressive on defense. So as long as we're doing that, I'm good. But I've been very fortunate to have some good opportunities. We went to Jones. We had a great administration that was so supportive, and I never wanted to leave there. I loved it at Jones. It was a great place. But when a place like Moultrie reaches out, you listen, you pick up the phone.
Yeah, like E.F. Hutton, yeah.
Yeah, you listen to that and you go take it. And it was a big bear. I knew walking into it, following big footprints with Coach Probst was going to be a difficult situation. And it was, but it was such an awesome for my career, and I learned so much. Now, what I didn't know is the second year in, we was going to have COVID, and we were going to shut everything down.
Right.
And so that added a whole nother wrinkle to it. But it was a really good growth during those 3 years of learning a lot of different ways to do things and maybe some more efficient ways of doing things. And then I'm just so blessed to be able to have the opportunity when Thomas County reached out when they were looking for a new job and a new head man, and reached out and see if I was interested. And I tell people all the time, it's kind of like that Cody Johnson song that came out. This ain't something you fall into. This is something God gives you.
Right.
That's really how I feel about this job at Central.
Absolutely.
I just think the timing, the fit, everything about it, just good Lord has blessed it to be able to be just such a rocket to take off so fast, and just so humbled. And so that was our career. I bounced around a little more than I would really like, but I got a kindergartner and a 9-year-old, and we're gonna try to build some roots right here.
Well, I tell you what, there's nothing wrong with bouncing around. The great T. McFerrin, who just passed away about 3 weeks ago, man, he coached so many different programs, impacted so many different lives. And so, the good ones do that. Jeff Herron did that. Jeff Herron found a job, build something up, and then go to the next challenge. Not saying that's what you're going to do, because you got a good thing there in Thomas County Central. And I love calling Thomas County Central football because of the passion of the players, the coach, the entire community. And going back to what you were saying about Georgia, to steal a phrase from a college football conference, here in Georgia high school football, it just means more.
Without question. And then you take that another step, because I'm with you in Georgia, it just means more. And then you get to South Georgia. And it just means a little bit more.
It means much more.
Yeah, it means a little bit more. And
There's
so,
no question.
We've just hit the lottery to be in this state for my entire career, and now to be able to be kind of in the mecca of high school football down here in South Georgia, where, like you talked about, the town's shut down. I mean, our fan base is amazing, but our neighboring communities' fans base, they're good too. There's a lot of programs with great fan bases down here that these are their number one teams. They're still community.
Yep.
And so now we're in a good place to do what we do.
That's what I love about it. Let's talk a little bit about your 2025 team and the reasons why I have you guys preseason number one in 5A. Maybe not first and foremost, but maybe first and foremost. You bring back your quarterback, senior Jalen Johnson, third-year starter, and you've told me before that you feel like this young man has a chance to be the best you've ever coached.
Without question. And like I say, this is only my third time, in 25 years to where we've had a 3-year starter. We had it one time at Griffin with Jaquez, and he wound up winning that 13 year. Then we had Bradley Honeycutt, who was a great quarterback at Jones. That was a 3-year starter. And when you get those 3-year starters that's been with you the whole time, I mean, it's like playing with a coach on the field.
Yep.
I mean, they're making checks. They got the keys to the car, and you trust them, and they're getting out of bad looks. And Jalen was already doing that, even in his first year, and did a lot more last year. But this year, you can already tell in the offseason, he just really understands this thing. He's getting us out of looks to get us in better looks. And so, I think it's a good place to start. Football has become, if you don't have a quarterback, it's hard to win. And it don't matter what level, NFL, college, high school. And so you better have one, and we got a dang good one.
There's no bigger position in all of team sports that we follow here in the United States. I don't know about other countries, but there's no bigger position than quarterback, and that includes starting pitcher, because you can sub out that starting pitcher and go to your bullpen and get a strong effort from your bullpen. Doesn't happen in football. You got to have that good number one QB, that QB1.
Plus that starting pitcher rotates.
That's right.
Quarterback's he's your guy every game.
Every game, no doubt. Quarterback's the most important position in all of team sports. Running back room, you got Christian Lawrence coming back. He committed to Wake Forest over the summer. Is he ready to carry the load now that A.J. Clark has graduated, or is you got someone else to sub in there with him? But either way, you got Christian coming back.
Ain't no doubt. And Deuce is good. And, boy, in this past weekend at Lowndes when we played Friday, man, he put on a show. I thought he was the star of the team in the way that he played. I mean, he played really, really good. He ran the ball really hard, still makes great cuts. Christian is as advertised. He's a heck of a player. Now, behind him, we feel good about it. We've got some really talented guys in that room. Evan Martin, Jordan McNeil, and Jamarian Paytee that are very talented, fast, good size. They're just young. There's some sophomores and a junior, and they just need experience. And so we hope that our our non-region schedule, all right, can kind of help prepare them for how fast varsity play is, compared to JV, and see how the cuts got to be made. That's one of the biggest things with a young back. They wind up cutting too much instead of being hard one-cut runners. Mm-hmm. So we got to develop that, but I feel good about that room. I think that room's got a lot of depth. But make no mistakes, we're going to make sure Christian gets his touches.
And Jalen's got a couple of targets out there on the outside to get the ball to Jaden Dunbar, who committed to Pitt over the summer, and then junior Jabari Watkins coming back, and he's, of course, just a 2027 kid.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Now, we got some weapons out there on the edges because you got, Rodney Dunbar, who's the big, long, rangy receiver.
Yeah, what's the story with the Rodney and the Jaden? He just likes to go by Rodney?
I call him Rodney.
You call him? Okay.
He's Rodney to me. That's his name. That's his daddy's name, and he's named after that. But then he'll go by Jaden Dunbar, I think, on his social media and things like that.
Gotcha.
I'm kind of like and Coming to America. Mama called it Rodney. I'm gonna call it Rodney. And so, but now he's that long receiver that can go up and get the deep ball and give a vertical threat. JB, who's a very tall receiver, but he's a true slot. They kind of come across the middle, hit the short intermediates, but can still go deep. And but then another name you didn't mention was the tight end, Gary Pringle.
That's right.
Gary Pringle, who's a sophomore, can run for a tight end. He is 20, 21 miles per hour, and he puts a lot of threats on you. So you can't single us out. We got 3 guys to spread the ball around that are dangerous. So we should get some one-on-one matchups, and so we feel like that's going to help Deuce also because it's going to be dangerous to load the box and just play one-on-one. So we're really excited about that with those guys. Now, the problem is sometimes with that, there ain't but one ball. And so you got to try to spread that ball around everybody. But it's a great problem to have.
No doubt about it. And Pringle, like you said, is a sophomore, a 2028 kid. And his brother, Trayvon, of course, plays linebacker and can jump in there at wide receiver every once in a while. We'll talk about him in just a moment. But got that Pringle family coming through there. They've been very good to you.
Ain't it great, though, on those communities like this where you hear those last names?
Yep.
That just have family members and generations even sometimes.
That's right. No doubt about it.
Communities are known for these names, and definitely Pringle's one of those names.
Well, one of the names that does not have a background there in Thomasville, and you can fill us in on that, but you've already told us a little bit about it before, is your center, Artem Korchagan, who is committed to Cal. You told us last year he's Mensa smart, so the Cal commit makes perfect sense for him. He's one of 2 starters you got coming back on that offensive line, along with Dentavis Cooper, who's committed to Tulane. So those are your 2 starters coming back on that offensive line.
Yeah, you got 2 great starters now. They're really good O-linemen. They're really good people, and they're highly competitive, Artem and Cooper. And so that's going to be great. Yeah, Artem's just such a unique story. His dad got an engineering job here in Thomasville from Russia, and he was looking in the States to find a job because he didn't want his son to get drafted in the Ukraine war. We don't think about that. 15 years old, you get drafted over there and they just throw bodies at that war.
They do.
And so, and now his entire life has changed. And so it's pretty neat, that whole story, how it came about. O-line is definitely a place where we've got a lot of work to do. Because like you said, while we got 2 dang good ones, we got 3 we got to build up. And so, so we're really working hard on that. We like Zion Garlington at the right tackle. I think he's going to be a good player for us. He just doesn't have a lot of experience. He's going to be a senior, but he's got a good skill set, and he's really driven. Guards is where we really got to work it out. We've got Jesse Tu and Guyton, which Guyton's another name you think about with Central, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's Leonard's boy, the quarterback of those state championships. And so he's going to play some guard for us. And then a Noah Gunner working there. And so we really got to solidify those guards. And so the O-line's where we really got to grow up as we have these non-region games.
Absolutely. Hopping over there to the defense, of course, on the defensive line, you have another Cal commit in Cameron Brooks, who's battled injuries, and hopefully he's going to be healthy for his senior run. And Christian Flournoy comes back as well. So you got 2 good bookends there at defensive end.
Yeah, no doubt. And Cam's had an unbelievable offseason. This is one of the first years he's been able to have an offseason. He still was short on it because he had another shoulder surgery. And so, but he's been healthy this whole offseason. His spirits are so high. I really expect him to have a monster season. I really do, because like you said, a lot of people don't realize the last 2 years he has really battled the injury bug, nagging stuff that stuck with him. So I think it's going to be great. Tristan Flournoy doesn't get the credit he deserves. He is such a great interior D lineman. But D line is definitely our deepest room. We have a really, really good high school D-line this year. You got Isaiah and Isaac Andrews, who both played last year. They're twins. I can remember when they were they were ball boys for the state championship game.
Sounds like their mama went to church, Isaac and Isaiah.
No doubt, right? Yeah, no doubt. And so great kids, play with high motors. Both of them are high motors and big kids. And then we have a sophomore, Prince Che. All right, they've been here a while, but they were from Africa. Unbelievable guy, plays really hard. He's about 6'3", 250, just a big D lineman in that room. And so you're just really deep at the D line. So we're going to be able to rotate, stay fresh, and I think that's going to be a unit that's going to make an impact on every game we play, kind of resetting that line of scrimmage.
You've always had a great physical linebacker core that can go make a lot of tackles. We saw that, I think, in your state championship victory, if I'm not mistaken. Tywan Christopher was your most valuable player on GPB that night. So you got guys that go and make tackles and make plays. You got Kennesaw State commit Amari Stevenson coming back, and Jacksonville State commit Trayvon Pringle, who we were talking about earlier. So talk about your linebacking core with those two guys coming back as guys with a lot of games under their belt.
Yeah, hard to win without having good linebackers. I mean, you better have dang good ones, and you better have a good star or outside linebacker to the field in high school, because the way the high school hash is, that's a lot of grass. And so Trayvon Pringle being there is a dynamic player. I mean, the state championship game, he was our leading receiver. All right, and then next year moved over to nickel to play that nickel position for us, and has done an unbelievable job of being able to play the run, play down on tight ends, but still carry in man. Amari Stevenson at the wheel, great player. I mean, just a high motor, feels the run, big physical kid. Started out at free safety when he was a freshman and has moved himself down closer to the box because of his skill set. But I'll say this, and we lost Kendarius Reddick, our safety, who went to USC. And obviously he's an unbelievable player, but the hardest player we're going to have to replace is Jaden Rubo, all-Mike linebacker.
That guy made so many plays for you.
Yes. For the last 2 years, Jaden Rubo has been a dude. And he's an unbelievable Mike linebacker. He's going to Barry, and people don't realize just how good he was. He did not get the attention making the checks and all that. And so we've got a couple guys in Day Herring and Eugene Ware and Onyx Lassant. We're still trying to sort that Mike linebacker position out, because they got some big shoes to fill. So that's another one of those areas in these first 5 games that we're trying to make sure. But it's good to have 2 of the 3 having a lot of experience and coming back.
Well, you mentioned in your secondary replacing D. Reddick, who's now at Southern Cal. And, you know, I'm not saying that you guys would have won that quarterfinal game at Langston Hughes, but, you know, things might have been a little bit different had he not got nicked up in that game. And you'd had him in the defense. You'd had him in your kick return game. That was just a huge loss in that quarterfinal game to not have him at full strength. And he did come back and try to play in that second half, to his credit, when, you know, a lot of people would say, well, what are you doing? You know, in a month you're going to go off to college. Why are you out here risking further injury? But I mean, he was out there trying to win that game for you guys. So
that's what happens when you're born and raised in the community.
Yeah.
Because he had grew up his whole life wanting to be a Yellow Jacket, so it mattered.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You got Donnell Jester coming back at that safety position, and plus you have Old Dominion commit Eddie Guerra at cornerback coming back.
Yeah, no doubt. And Donnell, we moved him to the boundary safety last year to try to take some pressure off D's shoulder, because he was battling a shoulder injury that we knew he was going to have surgery at the end of the year. So we had moved D to the free to try to help on some hits, so he didn't have as many hits. And I thought Donnell did a great job. I mean, just fitting the runs. That boundary safety's got to be a little bit more physical kid, and just thought he did awesome with that. And then Eddie is just a solid corner. He's a very physical corner that plays real handsy and is able to kind of get in on you. And I just like his style of play. And he's a fast kid. He's got a lot of motor. So, again, we returned 2, but we got to replace 2. We've got a really talented sophomore in DeAndre Andrews that'll be that other corner. He is electric fast. I mean, he is a 23-mile-per-hour kid, just super fast, but lacks experience. And so he's still kind of this lounge game, even showed him. Like, he's just got a lot of experience to gain. He needs to see different route combinations and skill sets. And so that'll be good for him. And then we moved a running back that has been a really good running back, and he's a great return man for us in the punt game, Kobe Carnage. All right, and so because of the depth at running back, we moved him over to free safety. And so he's playing our free safety. He is obviously a really good athlete just off watching him from returns and running the ball. And so, but he's just got to get that experience of playing defense. Defense is a reactionary skill set. I mean, it's not – offense is of rehearsed patterns, right? Where defense is you got to see, think, react. And so he's just got to continue to build that things. He's got better in the offseason. And we think Kobe's going to be a really good free safety for us when it's all said and done.
Yeah, you keep talking about players being 22, 23 mile per hour players. Tell folks how you know that. You don't have them racing cars in a parking lot. Tell them how you know specifically their mile per hour.
Yeah, we made a big push a couple years ago to invest in the GPS stuff, and so we wear the vest and we wear the GPS, and so we're always tracking miles per hour and trying to get them to get faster because that's really the measure of speed. You're really seeing the 40 times as far as evaluation be a thing of the past.
Right.
Because the 40 time could be you just know how to start good. You know what I mean? Like, yep. I've got a good start. There's a reason why people go train for the NFL Combine because they're training to start. Can I start on that laser timer? Where GPS is a true representation of how fast are you really? Because there's no training, it's just take off. And so we do that. We're big into our practices with our GPS to where we're tracking to make sure they're hitting that 90% at least 4 times a week to make sure they're good. And then also player load. Do we feel like we're overworking these guys? It's technology and sports come a long way.
Can't hide from the vest, man. The vest lets you know if they're taking plays off.
Oh, there's no doubt. And that's another thing is like you said. Now, so many times before you'd watch film and it'd be subjective. Man, I don't think you're going hard right here, man. You ain't going. Well, now it's no longer subjective. You can go pull the data and be able to prove on this play, this is where you are at. And so I think it just helps the kids to buy in as well.
No doubt about it. Schedule, after that opener against Monroe that we were talking about, your non-region schedule is highlighted by your rivalry game versus Thomasville. It'll be the 58th all-time meeting. Series couldn't be tighter. 29-28, you guys lead. You've won the last 3 in the series. And when I said that Thomas County Central was the team in town, I knew I'd probably tick off a lot of Thomasville folks because
you said it right. You said it right.
Okay, because listen, they're gonna fight me on that. But it's a great rivalry, has been forever, and that's a big part of your non-region. And then of course you play your Region 2 5A schedule, which is without a doubt the toughest region in the state. The only team that you've lost to in the regular season since you've been there, Lee County, and you got them this year at your place at the Jackets Nest.
Yeah, I mean, our region, now our preseason is emotional, right? And I call preseason our non-region. It's emotional. I mean, you play Thomasville, emotional game. Cairo, emotional game. A lot of ties there. And then you got Bainbridge, who's a longtime foe. So you play a lot of emotional games in there. And then when you hit region, brother, it's stout. I mean, because I think the state championship runs through our region. I mean, you have so many guys in our league that are going to be contenders for this thing. And so what you got to do is just survive this region and get to the show and make sure, because Lee's going to be an unbelievable team again this year. They return a lot on defense. They've got a lot of offense to replace, but Dean Fabrizio ain't never been bad. And so they're going to be solid. Jeremy Edwards returns a ton. Everybody talks about the quarterback leaving, which obviously is a big loss, but he has a lot coming back off that team. And then you've got Coffee. I mean, Coffee County has always been good. Coach Coe's done an unbelievable job there. And then you add the 2 new ones with new head coaches that have won state championships in Boone and Devo at Northside Veterans. I mean, you look at our region, you got 6 teams and 5 of the head coaches have won championships as a head coach. And then Jeremy's won 2 as OC. And so guys know how to win, and they know how to win the big game. And so every week you better be ready to play in this league. And our league has showed up really good in the playoffs. I think we swept every year and advanced far, had multiple teams advancing far in the playoffs every year.
Yeah, last year, 2 teams, you being one of them, got to the quarters. The other 2 got to the semifinals. That's the 4 teams out of the region. They got to the final 8 and to the final 4. And, of course, 2 years before that, Coffee won a state championship. You guys won a state championship, and now you're in the same region. It'll be interesting to see, and you mentioned the hires by Northside and veterans. And it'll be interesting to see if they ever go to power rankings, if you guys got all 6 teams in the playoffs out of that region. It's, I think, probably a pretty distinct possibility.
Yeah, when it goes to that, you get 5, though. I can promise you get 5. And you'll be close to cutting on 6, because that's the thing with Northside and veterans. They're going to close that gap more than people realize.
So with the coaches they have, yes, they will.
Yes, they're going to be in ball games in the second half. And when you're in ball games in the second half, you got a chance to win it, because the thing can go crazy. And so they're going to sneak up and beat people they shouldn't. I just hope it ain't Thomas County Central.
Well, you've only lost 1 regular season game, Coach, in the 3 years you've been there. You can't be much better than that other than undefeated. So we're looking forward to seeing the Thomas County Central Yellow Jackets play here in 2025. And again, big reason why our conversation right there, if people aren't convinced, that's a big reason why I got you guys preseason #1 in 5A. Look forward to watching you guys play this season. Good luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. And man, what a great state. And thank all of you guys, the media, that just promote football here. It's just so important, and it's just so cool, and it makes it – they ain't no state better for high school football than here. I know I'm biased, but it'd be hard for anybody to sell me on Texas or California being better than here.
Clock hits 0. Thomas County Central, they've already got the number up there. Adding the 2023, the 6th state title in Yellow Jackets history.
Always great to catch up with Justin Rogers. And like I said in the conversation, and like I have them ranked in my 5A preseason top 10, expecting big things from the Yellow Jackets in 2025. So please go ahead and hit that like button. Hit it many times. Subscribe button, follow button if you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify, Apple, or iHeart. Give me some encouragement. Subscribe to this so that you'll get notifications every time I drop a new podcast. I got another one coming up before the season starts, so jamming some in here before the high school football season gets started. Time now to take a look at my preseason 3A top 10. And again, we'll go in inverse order. Number 10, I got Jefferson. They got to the 3A finals last season, 24-5 the last 2 seasons, but they're replacing a lot from last year's team. Number 9, LaGrange. Grangers got to the semifinals last year for the first time since 2005, which came on the heels of 3 state championships in 4 years. So it looks like Coach Napier's got the Grangers going again. Number 8, Peach County. Trojans reached the quarterfinals last season, bouncing back from a 4-7 season in year 1 for Coach Marquise Westbrooks. And of course, he came to Peach County after winning 2 state titles at Warner Robins. Number 7, Cherokee Bluff. Got to the quarterfinals last season in just the 7th year of program history under Coach Tommy Jones. So that's a new program, and a new program that's on the rise quickly. Number 6, Westover. They went 9-2 in Coach Corey Joyner's first season last year. That was the most wins for the Patriots since 2013, and just the second time the Albany School had won that many games in program history dating back to 1969. Number 5 in my ranking, Stevenson. Jaguars revival under Coach Marcus Jelks. They've gone 20-7 the last 2 seasons, with a semifinal finish last season after reaching the quarterfinals in 2023. Number 4, Jenkins. 9-3 in Coach Tony Welch's 4th season last year after reaching the quarterfinals in 2023. Number 3, North Hall. Breakthrough season under third-year coach Sean Pender. 10-3 quarterfinal finish. That was their best since 2012. Number 2, Calhoun, the 2024 state champions, bringing back 13 starters from last year's team, including quarterback Trace Hawkins, who led the Yellow Jackets to the state title as a freshman QB. Number 1 in my 3A top 10, I got Sandy Creek. You know, it's hard to go against the defending state champions Calhoun, but the Fighting Patriots are stacked. They are loaded with talent, big-time talent. In my opinion, they're the favorites to win their 4th state championship in program history and first since 2012. So once again, the 3A preseason top 10 for me: Sandy Creek number 1, Calhoun 2, North Hall 3, Jenkins 4, Stevenson 5, Westover at number 6, Cherokee Bluff number 7, Peach County 8, LaGrange 9, and Jefferson at number 10. Like, follow, subscribe. Time now to take a look at the 3A preseason all-state team. Let's start on offense with the quarterback, Caleb Hill. Sandy Creek over 2,300 yards passing, 33 touchdowns, just 4 interceptions, plus 6 rushing touchdowns as a sophomore. My other quarterback is Gavin Knuckles from Northwest Whitfield. Over 4,200 career yards passing, 45 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, over 1,000 yards rushing as well, with 10 touchdowns career entering his senior season. At running back, you got Amari Latimer from Sandy Creek, a 4-star, rated as high as the number 19 running back in 2026. He's committed to the Wisconsin Badgers. Brian Duncan from Cairo, 1,795 yards rushing, 20 touchdowns, right at 200 yards rushing per game last year as a sophomore for the Syrup Makers. And Ty Cummings from West Lawrence, 1,751 yards rushing last year, 26 total touchdowns, and he's committed to the Georgia Southern Eagles. At wide receiver, going with Zion Hudson of Peach County. He's committed to Army, 60 catches, over 1,250 receiving yards last year. Cody Bryan from Heritage Ringgold, career 111 catches, close to 1,800 yards and 16 touchdowns in his career. Justin Beasley from Calhoun, big part of their state title team a year ago as a junior, 70-plus catches, over 1,000 yards, and 18 touchdowns. And McCord Purdy from Pickens, 103 career catches, over 1,500 yards, and 20 touchdowns for his career. At tight end, going with Mason Hall of Oconee County, 3-star tight end, big numbers for a tight end, at 58 catches as a tight end last year, 736 yards, and 6 touchdowns. On the preseason 3A offensive line, starting with Cameron Thompson of Jenkins, 3-star interior offensive lineman. He's committed to Mississippi State. Mason McGill of North Hall, 6'4", 270 offensive tackle, committed to Charlotte. Kyson Mallard from Westover, 3-star, rated as high as the number 15 interior offensive lineman in 2027. Bear Fretwell from Southeast Bullock, 3-star interior offensive lineman, committed to Alabama. Solomon Mathis from Hepzibah, 3-star offensive tackle, committed to Cincinnati. And Grady Howell from West Lawrence, 6'5", 287 offensive tackle, he's committed to Georgia Southern. Flipping over to the defensive side of the ball, defensive line, Dacian Davis from Monroe area, 161 career total tackles, 48 TFL, 23 quarterback sacks. Sager Quinn, Calhoun, 6'1", 240 defensive end, committed to South Florida. Evan Harvey from Sandy Creek, 3-star edge, committed to Memphis. Sergio Mason from Stevenson, 87 tackles last season, 33.5 tackles for loss, 7.5 quarterback sacks in 1 year alone. Braden Foster from Whitewater, 63 total tackles, 17 TFL, 10 quarterback sacks. At the linebacker spot, you got Kwame KJ Green from Stevenson, 4-star, rated as high as the number 5 edge in 2027. Max Brown from Jefferson, 4-star, rated as high as the number 9 linebacker in 2027. He's already committed to the Clemson Tigers. Malachi Character, Upson Lee, 257 career tackles and 32 TFL entering his senior season. Alex Upshaw, Calhoun, 80-plus tackles, playing that Sam linebacker position for the defending state champions a year ago. And Ace Blunt from Peach County, 153 total tackles, 10 TFL, and 5 quarterback sacks last year. In the 3A secondary, starting with the cornerbacks, going with Chance Payne from Jefferson, 3-star, committed to Minnesota. KJ DeRisso from Whitewater, 3-star, committed to Michigan State. Chase Usher from Sandy Creek, 3-star, committed to Charlotte. At the safety position, Markel Chino Aguirre from Luella, 3-star, committed to NC State. Tayshawn Poole from Howard and Macon, 4-star, rated as high as the number 4 safety in 2027. And Corey Hadley from Sandy Creek, another Sandy Creek fighting Patriot. Now you're kind of getting the picture, right? Got an outstanding defense. He's a 4-star, rated as high as the number 6 safety in 2027. In the special teams, McCarty Harrelson is the place kicker from Troop. He's 2-time All-State already, 13 for 16 on his field goals in his career with a long of 53. Jake Collette from Heritage Ringgold, he's a Coles kicking 5-star kicker and a 4.5-star punter. He's committed to the Texas Longhorns. And in the return game, we got Justin Teal from Cairo, 3 touchdowns returned on kickoffs a year ago, and a 28-yard return average on those kicks. Before we close out the podcast, let's take a look at the top commitments here in Georgia over the last 2 weeks. Number 8, Prince Avenue All-State quarterback Ben Musser. He chose Virginia Tech. Number 7, North Gwinnett 4-star cornerback Chauncey Davis decided on Southern Miss. Number 6, Buford 4-star NASCAR McCoy, rated as high as the number 9 safety in 2026. He picked Ole Miss. Number 5 on the list, Grayson Rams 4-star linebacker Ant Davis. He committed to Ole Miss as well. Number 4, Jonesboro 4-star Cortez Redding. He's rated as high as the number 22 safety in the country. He chose Miami. Number 3, Clark Central 4-star defensive lineman Anthony Lonan. Like we said earlier, he decided to stay home and pick the Georgia Bulldogs. Number 2 on the list, Collins Hill 4-star defensive lineman Deuce Geralds. He's going to roll with LSU. Let me tell you about Deuce Geralds. I think he's one of the most outstanding defensive linemen that I've seen in the state. And I know he's a 4-star, man. He plays like a 5-star. It's a little bit of a size thing. He's not that tall, and maybe 6'1", 6'2". Deuce Geralds gets it done. And number 1 on the list, you got Lowndes 4-star Jace Johnson. He's rated as high as the number 3 quarterback in 2027, committed to the Texas A&M Aggies. And Coach Adam Carter has Jace Johnson for 2 more seasons, so watch out for those Vikings on offense over these next 2 seasons. So that's a look at the top commitments over the last 2 weeks. And don't forget, Corky Kell Classic coming up on Thursday, August 14th, going to start it at West Forsyth with a doubleheader. Hebron Christian taking on North Atlanta. That'll be the 4:30 game, followed by Douglas and West Forsyth. That'll be the 8 o'clock game. I'll be calling that game on Peachtree Sports Network. And then on Saturday, calling the doubleheader in the Bend starting at 10 a.m., Dunwoody and St. Pius. And then at 1 o'clock, that'll be Brookwood versus Houston County. And those games will air on Atlanta News First, Channel 46. They'll also be streaming, and I'll pass along streaming information on our next podcast. So once again, like, follow, subscribe, whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, listening on Apple, listening on iHeart. Go ahead, like, follow, subscribe, and we'll talk to you next time on the next Matt Stewart Sports High School Football Podcast.